So, Tuesday, New York recap, and of course, I just put a bit of a note on Asia and the trade in London, which I took, which was not the best, but we'll go over it. But going into Tuesday's New York session was more bullish. 4-hour fair value gap was holding. I was expecting price to trade up higher. What you did do is you started generating highs. You had started hitting all these relative equal highs up here. You had Asia highs, and price kept on failing to go up to Asia during London, of course. So, considering the fact that we already had kind of our manipulation leg down here during the end of London, I was expecting price to continue higher. Initially, the first thing I was watching for was this 5-minute inverse on the 5-minute chart. Essentially, I was looking for one of these highs to be taken. Essentially, what happened was that price took the high and went lower, but I kind of saw this as a good sign because it just kept on generating liquidity for a move higher. The one move that I saw after this long here, firstly, what I will say this is I kind of did like the bearish bias. I saw these relative equal lows down here. Relative equal lows near these lows, and I kind of saw an idea that price was going to reprice down. There's no real good setup here. Maybe you could have taken a 1-minute inverse on this kind of entry here and looked for only a few points, but that kind of reprice made sense after you took the high during New York Open. And then the main setup that I was looking for was this 2-minute inverse fair value gap. I don't believe it confirmed the setup. It didn't look great as well. I was looking for a clean candle to close over. Essentially, it eventually does close over and the setup long works. So essentially, it's kind of clear. Price wanted to go higher. Those Asia highs were the clear and obvious draw. Eventually what you do get is price retests lower before making this final move higher here. Just this very slow move here. And then of course you take the main draw, which was Asia highs in this case. So essentially price had its initial move. It kept on generating liquidity up the high side up here. It took these kind of little relative equal lows that you were sitting down here. And then essentially had its manipulation leg followed by displacement leg higher. I don't believe I really saw anything else other than that. Once this target here had been taken, I believe I nodded off for the session. So going into Asia session, what we did have after New York is we had a really big sell-off. Price kind of traded within this 4-hour fair value gap and it went lower. What I did notice is that when we did open for the session, you had this major move down and you traded up into 4-hour fair value gap. So essentially, I was bullish in this area. I don't believe I was looking at the chart when we did create these lows down here, but I was essentially looking for price to have some sort of manipulation move during one of the macros before a main move higher. Takes a while to get that confirmation, but you do eventually get it. Price kind of manipulates down here, and eventually it kind of has its own small manipulation leg before making the continuation higher. This kind of was very obvious long. You kind of price came into 4-hour fair value gap, had its manipulation leg, came into time, the macro, and you eventually did see that expansion higher. And it kind of made sense. You had plenty of highs to aim for. I believe price goes all the way up here eventually, but really simple. Came into a strong area of demand, 4-hour fair value gap. Manipulation, displacement, 1-minute inverse fair value gap before traveling higher. Really nice market maker buy model setup right there. What we did find then is that we had a few things. We had an hourly fair value gap going into Asia. And I'll go over that one trade that I did take. So I was more bullish overall, essentially for price action, considering what price has done. But what I did like was price was generating kind of these relative equal lows down here. Price was kind of just slowly generating all these lows down here, so I liked a movement lower. What you also did have down here is you had these equal lows. Plus price was kind of in a premium. It was trading in that 1 hour fair value. So I wanted to see the London Open take a high of sorts, see some sort of manipulation at a high, and essentially continue lower, or kind of start the market maker style model for a reprice down. In this case here, price never really gave it from what I see. What I did see was price failed to take, there's probably two errors here that I made for this trade. One, we only took this minor high, so I took a inverse fair value gap here. I took this 1 minute inverse fair value gap here. I saw kind of the minor manipulation. I saw that confirmation, that strong confirmation down, and essentially I wanted a move all the way down there. So the R&R was in my favor, but it just didn't kind of make sense. You didn't really have time going on it, and the confirmation just wasn't really consistent. I think it would have been better if I waited for those Asia highs to be taken. I just think it was a nice idea. And what I do notice is that late in the session, my idea does play out. Eventually you do get a bit of a reprice down, but essentially what price does here is it just kind of keeps on generating all these kind of little minor lows down here, relative equal lows, keeps on trading higher, and it decides to make that fundamental move down. I believe in the next macro. So what we do is we make our manipulation leg, take our relative equal highs here, and price eventually makes this manipulation move down, comes up into the macro. You have quite a few men of draws in, and you have a good manipulation leg. It's a good sharp movement up. It's very V-shaped on the movement back down. No real clean inverse fair value gap here for this setup. What you did have is you had this kind of minor manipulation leg here, which eventually confirms for a short, and price does see that market maker sell move back down to all these lows here. Really nice move here, and this is essentially what you're getting through 6 a.m. But yeah, it's a really, really nice move. Really nice market maker sell model. Eventually did take in 7 a.m. macro. You took those equal lows that were sitting down there, but essentially 5 a.m. caused the manipulation leg. You get some sort of 1 minute inverse fair value gap. Not the greatest confirmation, but then you got that really nice move down. So yeah,